Yes, people. So today we're talking about the top three hardest positions to make it in football. Let's go. Now, where I'm basing my decision is going to be on these three factors. Number one is the football IQ, the football brain that's needed. And number two, the information overload that that position must be able to withstand. And number three, the technical ability been able to or needed in order for you to play in that position. Those three are important. Physical stuff doesn't come to equation for me because at the end of the day, we look at people like Tony Kroos, we're looking at people like Benzema, we're looking at people like Modric, Casemiro. The most efficient players that we've seen in the world of football in the last 3 years have been the players over the age of 30. The majority of them haven't had the same yard of pace they had when they were younger. So we understand that they've had to rely on their brain, the IQ, the ability to make a decision, to get into position. So I want to go with in the bottom three all the way up. So going with number three position, I'm going to go with the centre back position. The centre back position for me is probably one of the most shaded position in the game, simply because people think you just got to defend and just kick the ball. That could have run 20 years ago in a time when Arsenal was invincible. But now, you can't be looking to play that game. You have to be able to be a ball playing centre back because the rules have changed where now players can receive the ball inside the box. That's completely allowed the game of football to start from that position and allow teams to build up. So, for example, with Arsenal, they really benefited from having people like Saliba and Gabriel who are both ball playing centre backs. The moment Saliba was out injured, Arsenal's title hopes just started to go down the drain. And so they could live without a striker, but they couldn't live without a ball-playing centre-back. It changed the whole system because Arsenal have to build up from the back in order for them to get the rhythm. The moment he was out of the team, teams knew what side to press. And so we see that centre-backs today, Man City have a lot of depth in the centre-back position. They can rotate depending on who they can play against. But the two centre half or the three at the back that they play with have to be able to be ball playing because they have to be able to dominate the ball. Same thing with Brighton as well. They have to be capable of passing and receiving the ball. I think there's a stat I saw in last season, 22 to 23 season. Most of the centre backs had the most high passing rates because they get on the ball a lot now. So if you think that you're just going to be as a centre back and just kick the ball at the elite level, by the way, I'm not talking about academy football, I'm talking about elite level, you're sadly mistaken. So I want to go with position number two. I want to go with the cam or centre mid. Again, this position here requires you to have a high level of IQ, football brain. You've got to know, like Messi, when Messi plays that cam position, when he comes in and they allow him to come into that central attacker role, he's scanning to see where his opponent is and where his teammate is and where the space is. So he's using his football IQ brain. That's what Pep says in the first 5 minutes or whatever you see him doing. He's just scanning. He's scanning, creating the pictures. He knows everything is and where everything is. You've got to have a brain to play in that position. Then you're looking at the technical ability because you're going to receive the ball in tight spaces. You've got to be able to dribble in tight spaces. You've got to be able to have a superb first touch. There's no overlooking. You can't be having a heavy back pass of a first touch to play in a cam position. You've got to be able to play in the half space. Probably the smartest players in the team, one of them will have to be a cam. You look at Arsenal, they've got Martin Odegaard, they've got Kevin De Bruyne. You look at in the world of football in general, most of the cam positions are usually occupied by the smartest players in the pitch. So in that sense, that's why I put cam as the second hardest position because of the overload and the information that they must have in order to be the point guard in essence for the team. And in the hardest position on the football pitch for me has to go down to the DM position. The holder mid position in the game of football is one of the most underrated and probably one of the most hardest to play in today's age. The amount of information that your brain has to compute and the focus that you must have in your brain at the elite level, I don't think we quite understand. It's not just a case of you're screening. Back in the day, you could be a screener and just screen and block. You can't be that guy. Back in the day, when I mean back in the day, I'm saying like 10 years ago, you could get away with just being a sort of, a battler and just break down the play and pass. You can't be that guy now. You got to be like a Busquets. You got to be like Stones, who Pep's played in there. You got to be like Rodri. You got to be like Thomas Partey. The list goes on. You know, that's why Arsenal spent the amount of money they did on Declan playing in that position. You know, the holding mid position is probably the most technically demanding because you receive the ball, again, one of the top in the game. Centre backs and holding midfielders who will receive the ball the most. The reason why I put it ahead of centre back is because the amount of information that a holding midfielder must be able to withstand in a short space of time. He cannot be able to be switched off that day. You see at Arsenal, when Arsenal started to struggle about Thomas Partey, they had to bring in reinforcements in the transfer window in January, and they brought in Jorginho when Sambi wasn't able to fill in that role. The whole position for me is one of the hardest. Real Madrid just gave a new contract out to Tom Kroos. Casemiro has been superb for Manchester United. People don't understand that position. You have to be switched on that day. You cannot go in there thinking, I'm not going to come in 50-50, I'm going to come in 30-20. No, you got to be at your best to play holding midfielder, or else your team's going to suffer. So for me, in an elite game, it goes third place, we're going to go with centre back. Second place, we're going to go with Cams. And then we're going to go with DM as a number one. Let me know what you think. Let's go.